Good evening, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. I thought I was live just a second ago, but I hadn't hit all the right buttons. So bear with me. I'm not used to doing these kind of live broadcasts all on my own. Um, you know what? I need to mute my other one. I'm trying to watch all the comments on another screen. So there was a little feedback. How is everyone tonight? I'm glad to see everyone. I saw Figgy. I hope you're back from the store by now, because we can't get started really without Miss Figgy and all the other SAS squad. While we're waiting, one of the things I wanted to do tonight was I know I'd asked for a lot of questions from everyone, and boy, howdy, did I get some questions from everyone. Also, I want to point out that I do have my husband is in the chat tonight, H. Warren. So he's actually going to work as a moderator for me tonight. So if you have questions in a little bit, please put them in capital letters. I'll try to keep an eye on them. But otherwise, he'll try to highlight them as well. All right, everyone. So I see the Loch Ness Monster. Hello from Puerto Rico. I see Lanita. I see Steve. Hi, Steve. Wow. I see everybody. I see James, Richard. I think everyone. Hand pink waving Gary. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm just reading through all of these comments that are popping up. So, I'm sorry. I get nervous doing this kind of stuff. This isn't something I normally do. I like to stay in the background of things. So if I stumble a little bit, just everyone bear with me. So what I am going to do is start on some of these questions. I actually had to print them out. First off, when I asked for questions, there were quite a few that were actually left in comments. And I saved the comments, and here's a couple. This first one was from Shelly Carlisle, and she said, "Hey, Nance, I have a question for your video. If you could have a Bigfoot encounter, where would it be and how would it unfold?" I think I've mentioned this a few times before. If I should happen to see a Bigfoot, what I really want, now that I'm an old lady with arthritis and doesn't run very well, I want to be in a moving car. I want to see it through my field glasses at several hundred yards away. I want to be in a moving vehicle, moving away from it. And that's what I'd like to have happen. I do not want to wake up in a tent one night and have one outside. That's just me. I'm just an old lady now. So, when I was younger, I'd have been like, bring it on. But no, not so much now. So that's how that would work, Shelly. I hope you're out there listening. And the next one I had was from Cosette Tricomi. I may not be saying that right. And she asks a pretty heavy question. She said, "Everything in God's creation has a purpose. What purpose or why do Bigfoot exist? And what function do they serve in God's creation?" Well, Cosette, I have no idea. I do not presume to know the mind of God or whoever the architect of the universe might be. I can't guess what they thought about what it all was supposed to mean. As far as Bigfoot, they're in the ecosystem somehow. I mean, we don't always know what happens when we introduce something or take something out of an ecosystem. Anyone who has studied, I don't know, let's say the wolves that they reintroduced into Yellowstone, if anyone has looked at that trophic cascade, even the biologists were just environmentalists rather, were just blown away at all the things that a wolf did for the ecosystem there, including the trees, and virtually changed the landscape of the Yellowstone National Park. And no one expected that. So, I don't know. I'm sure there's somewhere in the ecosystem, like all things on this earth, I imagine if they're no longer useful, then they will go extinct, as we humans very well may as well. Let me see. So I hope that answers that, Cosette. In other words, I have no idea. No idea. I don't presume to know. If they're here, I'm sure there's a reason. So another one was from Roseanne Thomas, and she said, "I have a couple of questions for you. Did you have an encounter of any kind? How old were you? And did any of your family members have any? And when are you going to announce all those things you were going to share to us about? And how is Sage doing and Mama? So there's a lot of questions there. So let me start with the fun one first. Sage is awesome. I don't know where she is in the house right now, but quite often, if you notice back here, back there, I leave an empty spot because she tends to get up there, and that's where she hangs out when I'm working all day, and she'll just hang with her little paws. So she's around somewhere. So if you see a little gray fluff butt, that's her. Mama's doing well. She's got a little mama hip waddle going on now. She's a happy little kitty. Working backwards about the things I was going to announce, new things I was going to share. I'm going to guess you're talking about maybe a lot of the different merchandise and things that I said that I was going to start selling after Gatlinburg last year, after the convention. I haven't been able to do that simply because I'm going to be working with someone who is a Wix website specialist, because the whole e-commerce platform, it's easy probably for anybody else but me. I just don't have time. I don't have the inclination. I don't have the special skills. I've tried a few times and then it won't collect tax or something. I don't understand all the settings. So rather than screw it up, I'm going to have somebody redo my whole website. And I'm just waiting till she has a lull in her other work that she can maybe do that. So that's it. That's where I'm like trying to figure out like how to sell the soaps that Yeti Soaps has specifically made just for me, that I sold at convention last year. And, you know, a lot of it is packaging. I'm still figuring out packaging. When I drop ship from Teespring, I don't have to deal with any of that. But Teespring is expensive. And quite frankly, I'm not trying to knock them, but I can't control the quality of what you get. And I have ordered a few things myself from Teespring for my channel and from some other channels. And I have not been as impressed as I thought I should be for the price I paid. So I thought if I could control that a little better, I'd like to do that. But there are a lot of working parts to setting up something to sell e-commerce that you have to keep an inventory, stock, shipping, packaging. It's a little more. Probably people out there have been doing it. A bunch of you out there probably have been doing it and wondering what the big deal is. It's just something new for me. I will work it out though, because I have got some great merchandise. I have a lot that I'm ordering again this year for Gatlinburg. And just stuff that I didn't even have room to take to Gatlinburg. I can only take to Gatlinburg what we can shove in the back of my husband's SUV. And that includes our displays. That includes our luggage. So everything except the table, you know, we have to take. So I'm a little more limited. So the point is, I might order 100 of something. I might only take 20 to convention. So I've got a lot to sell. So we will get on that. As for her other questions, and this is probably the question I get the absolute most, and that is, have I personally had an encounter, had something odd happen? You know, no, not a thing. Not a single thing has ever happened to me. I've never been out there and had even so much as a weird sound out in the forest that I couldn't say, yeah, it was probably this or that, or that was a bugle, an elk bugle. It was this, it was that. I can always figure it out what it is. I've never walked away scratching my head like, well, what was that? Ooh. I'd like to lie, but I can't. I just don't have it in me. That's just. So if I ever do have something, believe me, I will tell the whole world. So that negates how old was I. Now, she also asked, did any of my family members have any? Yes, actually. They are distant cousins, one by marriage, and they originally came out of Kentucky. They moved up here near the Blue Rock Forest here in Ohio. And as a matter of fact, they were the very first story I ever did. And they did not set me on this whole odyssey. I started this whole odyssey when I was very young. Most of you have heard this. I used to sit and watch In Search of with Leonard Nimoy with my dad. I think it was every Sunday afternoon here in Cincinnati. We would catch it on channel 19. And, you know, it was the first time I'd ever heard of Bigfoot. It was also the first time I ever heard of the Loch Ness Monster or, you know, anything. So it it started interesting me, and I started reading more about it, whenever I could find something new at the library. And then I was about 13, 14. It was early 80s. And this couple, this cousin, actually had their experience. And these were people I knew. They were pretty steadfast people. They were not given or prone to fits or exaggerations. So I listened carefully, and I heard it many, many times. And, some of the family believed, some of them didn't. And that is, I guess you would say, the only family I've ever had that's had anything like that I know of, to my knowledge. So I hope that answers that question. There was one from a comment left from Melinda Rosas. What made you start this channel? Sorry, Melinda. I think I just kind of led into that. All that happened with my cousins. It really kicked my interest into high gear. The interest had always been there to just, delve into Bigfoot, cryptids, mysteries, any of that in general is my thing. And my husband and I went to a Bigfoot convention several years back. And you know how it is during breaks, you start talking to this person or that person. And I was amazed at how many had stories. I'd be like, have you ever seen anything? Oh, yeah. And they would tell me about it. And I'm like, gosh, well, who else have you told? And they're like, well, not many people. Why not? Have you reported it? And the answer was always no, simply because most of them would say, oh my gosh, well, I'm in the middle of a divorce. If I tell this, if I go on record with this, my spouse, soon to be ex, will use it against me in a court of law. How crazy would I look? Or I had one who said, my employer is so rigid. If I don't agree that the earth is, 3,000 years old, whatever they said, I could face termination. There's only 9 employees there. I'm not going to risk it. A lot of people are just like, I don't want to expose my kids to that. And I also had someone recently ask, well, why is it okay for people to, why was it a big deal for people to talk about this? It's a lot different today because now you can afford to be a little bit anonymous, like on our channels. Previously, if you put your experience out there, let's say pre-internet, what that meant was you were going to your local television station, you were going to your radio station, or you were trying to find a way to get in touch with somebody who was writing a book. There was no other way. And having your name in a book is a lot different than having your name on the internet. And I think we would all agree. Somebody has to have a specific interest. Go find that book, read the book to even find your name. Today, all they have to do is do a Google search. So it's quite a bit different. But going back to how this started was when people were telling me they really didn't necessarily want to go on record. At least around here, they didn't. I started thinking, well, if they don't want to tell their story, maybe I can. So I backtracked through some of my cousins and through them, some other people. I got 12 stories together, enough for 3 months worth if I was doing one a week, which is what I did when I started. And I thought, I'll ask for other encounters. And if no one gives me any, well, I guess that tells me what I need to know, that this channel has no future. Turned out it did. I was surprised that I was getting emails constantly. And so, yeah, here I am. So it all started from interest, knowing someone and talking to people at conventions who did not want to put their name out there. They didn't mind telling the story. They didn't want to put their name all over the internet. Some people, they don't have a problem. No big deal. They don't care. Other people have a problem, So, the same reason I wouldn't advertise the gentleman's phone number the other day, even though he said I could. The internet is a really scary place. And if you don't think so, there was a podcaster who was stalked and killed, her and her husband. I want to say it was last week, the week before, out in Washington State. So it is a really scary, weird world out there. So I understand why people would prefer to stay anonymous. Okay. Now, some of these came in from emails, and sometimes I have their name, sometimes I don't. If I don't have their name, I'm not saying their email name. So this one came from someone named Abby, and it says, why do all of your stories sound like they were written by the same person? Are you writing them all? Okay, let me clear this up because I've had a lot of people ask this, and I know a lot of you out there listening are probably wondering the same thing. I do not write all of these. My gosh, if I had the time to write all of this material, I don't know, I'd probably have books out there. I'd write books. I'd do all kinds of things. That's just not me. I'm just, why do they sound the same? Because quite often I get very, very large emails. I mean, they can be 2,000 or 3,000 words, and it's like a run-on sentence. There's no punctuation. There's nothing. And it can be a little difficult. So I have to rewrite them because to narrate them can be difficult. My speech pattern is my speech pattern. Try to speak like someone else, and it's hard to explain. Just trust me. Take anything anyone else has written. I mean, something that has not been edited, not something you find in a book, and read it out loud. And what you will find is people write the way their mind works. And all the things that you would silently read, your mind fixes. If it's missing the word but or and, your mind just skips over it and fills that in. When you go to speak it, your mind stumbles on everything. So I do go in and I do have to lightly edit. And sometimes it's to clarify what they're saying. I know what they're trying to say, but they put like 4 sentences together in a run-on sentence. I know what they're saying. I just try to clarify it. That's all. Sometimes I don't have to touch any of them. And again, this isn't denigrating anyone. Not everybody is cool with grammar. They don't care about it. It's something I don't mind doing. So they sound a lot alike because when I have to edit them and I have to speak them, I will use my speech pattern. That's how it is. So, all right. This one was from Alan. I really wish you would give us longer stories. Why don't you give us longer stories more often? No one likes the short paragraphs. Alan, I would love to have more long ones. The longer, the better. We all absolutely love them. But like I just said, I don't write these. So I'm completely bound by what people send in. I may have 10 emails sitting in my email inbox, but I won't read all 10. Even if it means if I just do 2, it's only a 15-minute video because I have to be sure I've got something for next week too. I mean, I don't want to read them all in one shot and then 3 weeks I have nothing. And that can happen. That can happen. So I really would love longer stories. Now, Julia asked me, what do you think Bigfoot really is? And do you think he's really real? First, yes, I think he is really real. I do think he's out there. Something is absolutely out there. Either that or you have thousands of people under a mass delusion. And I don't believe that, because then if people were so quick to imagine things, wouldn't they be imagining all kinds of other things? Why would they just be imagining just this one creature for the most part? I know there are other things. There's Dog Man, there's Mothman and things like that. But the most consistent, the one that many people, law enforcement, park rangers, forest rangers, fire crews, we just had one this week. The one that they all at some point have reported, or at least from the different teams, is Bigfoot. Many people who have been a staunch disbeliever have had a come to Jesus meeting, so to speak, with a Bigfoot, and their whole world is changed. So for something that powerful, I just can't dismiss it. As for what I think it is and I may be using the wrong term here, I'm not a scientist. I believe it is a humanoid or something in our family tree. I'm not saying we're directly descendant or related directly. They are humanoid. There's no doubt about it. And I may be, again, using the wrong term. Too many people that have seen them have said they look in their eyes and it's like looking at a human. I can't discount that. They have two arms, two legs. They walk upright. There really is not another animal that consistently walks upright. I know apes, gorillas, chimpanzees can, but they don't walk upright as a rule. So I don't know. They're definitely in our sphere of hominid, humanoid. So they could be evolved Neanderthal family tree type rather than necessarily ours. I don't know. I just know that they're out there. So how's that? I think they're real. I don't think that they are paranormal. I know a lot of people send in stories with a lot of the what I think the BFR calls it the woo factor. I can understand some people really do believe that. I'm not going to say it didn't happen. It's just not my go-to belief. It just isn't what I first think of. So, okay. Well, I hope I'm not boring you all. I'm just trying to get through these questions. Then we'll go to all of your questions. And I'm sure you guys have plenty. Again, these next ones also came in email, but they didn't give me a name. All I have is their email, which doesn't tell me what their name is. So we're going to just call these anonymous. What are your favorite YouTube channels to watch? Bigfoot and non-Bigfoot. Well, first, let's go with Bigfoot channels. Oh my gosh, pretty much all the big ones, pretty much all the same ones you guys watch. Of course, Dixie Cryptid, Cryptids Canada, Bigfoot Lake is one I like to watch. I do watch Steve at How to Hunt. I listen to Bigfoot Case Files. Gosh, I pretty much throw a dart at a Bigfoot channel. I'm probably subscribed to it. Old Bear's Den of Bigfoot is another one I really like. Ralph and his wife are the sweetest people. If you guys don't follow him, you should. There's a million. I mean, pretty much anything. And I'm always looking for new Bigfoot documentary types. I definitely follow Small Town Monsters. Love a lot of their stuff. Pretty much Bigfoot. Okay. Bigfoot. I'm there. I'm on it like a fat cop on a sweet donut if it's got Bigfoot in it. All right. As for the non-Bigfoot ones, I won't name a bunch of them. I will tell you that I do a lot of quilting and a lot of sewing, so I do watch a lot of those. Gosh, who does not watch Mr. Ballin? Everybody watches Mr. Ballin. If you don't know who John B. Allen is, go look up Mr. Ballin. Mr. MRBALLEN. He's got the cat's meows of stories out there. The creepy, the unexpected, the horrifying. He's the man. He's the man. Definitely go look him up. Everybody. Gosh, there's a million. That's a really good question because, I mean, I listen to so many. I don't even know quite how to answer that. Let me see here. Okay, somebody else asked, what do you do when you're not doing Bigfoot videos for us? I just mentioned I quilt, I sew. We're still working on the house here. We've only been here about 1.5 years, and every time I turn around, there's something new to do. This house was not my ideal state of things when we moved in. So this is a big work in process, quite frankly. I'll probably never get it the way I want. That's just how it goes. I read. I'm a voracious reader. I have been since I was very young and had to spend extreme amounts of time in the hospital. Beyond that, my mother was exceptionally sick. So it was always, please be quiet. So I was given books constantly. And I was a happy kid. My husband can tell you when we were first married, we had no money. I might not put meat in the spaghetti because I'd spent all the money on a book. That's true. True story. I did that. I do a lot of outside gardening. Well, I don't do as much here. There was no established garden here. And I don't know, the thought of groundbreaking on a garden this year, But normally, yes, I do a lot of gardening and things. So sometimes I don't know what I do in a day. I just slither around the house. I don't know. Somebody said, and there were a lot of variations on this one. I sent you an email. You haven't read it. Why? Well, lots of possible reasons. Could be that it was not something I would put on this channel. There may have been questionable things that I won't call this a family channel exactly, but I'm not going to put a lot of men and women hobbies, we'll call them. First and foremost, I'm not going to talk a lot about that when the clothes come off. I've had a lot of that would really be on some kind of porn site. I've gotten some that are just so full of cursing, and I mean every other word. I don't mean like when they're yelling because they just saw Bigfoot. I mean, it's part of their verbiage. I'm not doing that. I've had some that simply just didn't make the cut for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's just not right for my channel, and I have to make that decision because you guys out there are expecting at least a minimum level of a particular type of feel, quality. And so I don't mind pushing the envelope, pushing the edges to bring you something really interesting, different, new, but there's just some I'm just not. For instance, my favorite one to tell is the one that somebody sent in about how their pickup truck had a flat tire and they pull off to the side of the road. It's late at night, and who comes out of the woods to help them? Bigfoot. Bigfoot comes and lifts up the back of the truck while they change their tire and, all but holds the lug nuts for the guy. And then he motions for Bigfoot. Bigfoot hops in the bed of the truck, and they go on down to Wendy's, and he buys him a double cheeseburger and a Frosty for Bigfoot in the back. And the guy at the window at Wendy's hands it to Bigfoot, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, Bigfoot. I'm sorry. Alex, give me things that never happened for $500, please." Yeah, I'm not reading that one, but it is fun to talk about. I typically don't make fun of anything anyone sent in, but that one was too much. That was just too much. Probably the next one that made me laugh, and I actually did record it, was the guy, I think he called him Mushroom Dude, who peed on Bigfoot. But that one was really good. And I do think that probably could have happened. That one was believable. That one could have happened. So let me see. Where am I at here? Ooh, here's a good one. Somebody said, "I love your channel, but I'm new to the Bigfoot world. I've just gotten interested in all this. Why do people not like the BFRO, and how do you feel about them?" Okay, let's cut to the chase. I know there's a lot of people who really despise the BFRO. I understand all the reasons. And for the person asking, the reason is people believe the BFRO have become all about money, that they hide information, that they're working with the government. I've heard numerous things people have said. I have not gotten any evidence of any of that. I'm not going to say they are or they aren't. That's just not my feeling. I've never gotten the feeling that they're out there to hide things. But how do I personally feel about them? I think it's crazy if you are so dead set against the BFRO that you won't even go to the website and look at all the different reports, because real people made those reports. They may not have known who else to call. You need to remember there was a time before the internet, as I mentioned earlier. The only people they could call was, if you didn't call your television or your newspaper, you called somebody like the BFRO. And I think they came out in the mid 90s, 95, I want to say. And you also have to remember there are a lot of investigators that are working with the BFRO. They're upstanding people. You may not like the organization, but don't throw their investigators, all of them, and the people making the reports under the bus. I don't agree with that. I think that's throwing away possibly valuable information. It's okay to not like the BFRO. I get it. A lot of people don't like entities like that, but I am not antagonistic towards them. Not at all. And that's okay if you now, just like me, because I dared to say that. That's the other thing I've noticed. There's a lot of competition in the Bigfoot world. If I say I like something or someone that somebody doesn't approve of, well, it's lights out for me. And that's okay. The next one is, what channels do you have a running feud with? It seems like all channels hate somebody else. Who's yours? I had no idea that was a thing. I don't really have anybody. I don't have any. I don't know. I'm a happy person, and I don't have extra time to go around hating on other channels. When Cam first reached out to me from Dixie Cryptid, I was thrilled because it was nice to meet somebody really friendly. I have tried to be friendly. Not everybody is, and that's okay. That's okay. Nobody has to be. But I don't have any running feuds. If you guys ever hear of any that somebody really hates my channel, that's okay. That's on them. They can feel that way. It's no sin. But I don't have any that I hate. I don't have time for that. I got Bigfoot stories to edit and stuff to do. So real quick ones. What's my favorite snackage? Oh, that's easy. Red seedless grapes and sharp cheddar cheese cut in little chunks. Just a little bowl of those. Those are my favorites. How many cats do I have? I technically have 4 with a 5th one in the house in a waiting pattern. So we have Noodle, who is 13. He's the old man of the house. Ming is 18. And then the 2 new ones, Sage and her mama. The 5th one is one that was outside last year. We brought him in. We've been feeding him for about a year and a half, and his name is Oscar. We tried to integrate him into Gin Pop in the house, except he attacked one of the other cats in a very vicious way. And even the vet agreed. He was just used to being outside, and he is used to hunting prey. And that's how he was hunting little tiny Sage. So we've kept him segregated. We don't know what we're going to do. I don't want to throw him back outside. He's already been fixed. He's gotten all of his shots. I always neuter all pets in my house immediately. I don't agree otherwise. So he's a wonderful cat otherwise. So I don't know. We might get him a new home. I really don't know. My husband's very attached to him. So, but he is sectioned off from the house. So total 5, but mostly just 4 in Gin Pop. Do you think Bigfoot is friendly? Probably some. I mean, I think they're just like saying that's like saying, are humans friendly? Some are. Yeah, some are, but not all. What can I do to get a Bigfoot to come to my property? Friend, I don't know. But if you find out, let us all know, because that would make you a millionaire, and a lot of other people would be happy to know. Why do you call him Bigfoot and not Sabe? You need to start calling him Sabe. Why do I need to do anything? I just call him Bigfoot because that's what I learned at like 5, 6 years old. I understand what Sabe is a Native American term. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But I don't have to. Got it? And here's my favorite. And after this, I'm going to open up questions from you guys. This is my favorite, and I saved it for last. I think you guys are going to like this. This one actually came from a boy named Kevin, who says that him, his dad, and his brother listen to the channel. He got his dad to email this in for him, and he said that he lives in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He's in the 4th grade. He said what he really wants to know is, in a fight, who would win, Bigfoot or Godzilla? And he said, please answer quickly. Him and his brother have a bet, and there are a lot of Hot Wheels on the line that's going to go to the winner. So could I please give an answer? Well, I hate to tell you, Kevin, I don't know who you bet on, but whoever bet on Godzilla, I think is going to be the winner. Godzilla, I mean, Bigfoot's awesome, but Godzilla, man, he destroys whole cities. Godzilla's monstrous. Of course Godzilla's going to win. So I hope you bet on Godzilla. Sorry if you lost some Hot Wheels. So All right. Well, if you guys have some questions, I know I've done an awful lot of talking for the last half hour. If you guys have questions, please put them up in all capitals. And, I'd just like to hear what you guys want to see. I see somebody's talking about this Bigfoot was not hostile. He turned up hillside. Ooh, what is this? This Bigfoot was not hostile. He turned up hillside and snapped off some 5 to 6 inch thick trees about 5 feet from the ground with no effort and went on his way. Well, House's Lost Tribe, I want that story because that one looks really good. That looks really good. Edward says, I wonder what we would call Bigfoot in my native Mohawk language. I'll be asking an elder. Well, Edward, if you get an elder to tell you, please write in and tell us. And if they know anything else, find out. I've been finding out that a lot of the Native American elders tend to have an awful lot that they can say. They just don't always tell people. Probably because a lot of people didn't believe them or don't want to hear it. But yeah, I would definitely like to hear what they have to say. All right, let me see what else we've got here. Hi, Nance from the San Francisco Bay Area. Well, hello there. Is it Cece? We'll go with Cece. Hello there. I'm pretty sure Bigfoot would win because Godzilla isn't real. That's awesome. Oh, let's see here. Y'all crack me up. Let's see. Thank you, Sergeant Deacon. I've seen a lot of your comments. Thank you much. Appreciate you very much. Let's see. Y'all are cracking me up. I really want to know, did he bet on Bigfoot or Godzilla? I don't know. And I wonder just how many Hot Wheels are about to exchange hands possibly. So that's cute. Oh, goodness. Why do you think Ohio is such a Bigfoot hotspot? I've heard a lot of different reasons. One of the first is that we have a wide variety of terrain. We have huge mountain regions over towards Pennsylvania. We have really the whole southeastern part of Ohio is exceptionally sparsely populated. When I've been in other places, even down in Gatlinburg, people will say, well, Ohio is so heavily populated. You've got Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus. Yes, we do. We have huge cities, but they're nowhere near the southeastern part of the state. That southeastern part of the state has an abundance of wildlife, timber to hide in, rivers, creeks, valleys, gardens, crops, huge crops. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things as to how they got here. A lot of Ohio was actually formed by a glacier. If you read about it, I don't remember the name of the glacier, but all the way down, that's how the Ohio River and the hills around Cincinnati were formed. It was all glacier. Maybe it had something to do with that. Maybe they followed that way. I really don't know. I know we have a lot of it. I know once you start getting west of Ohio, like Indiana is very flat, most of it, not all of it, but the majority of Indiana that I've encountered is fairly flat. Once you go further west from there, it's even flatter. So there's not as much cover. They may have been more prolific years ago along the East Coast, back to the Iroquois nations. Who knows? I really don't know. I do know we seem to have a lot of them. So, and I'm happy about that. Okay. The next one I see is from Betty Nance. Do you still go camping so you could see a Bigfoot? I have been camping in the last couple of years. I will probably try to go. I want to go see Old Bear up at Salt Fork sometime this year. However, due to my arthritis and some of my husband's health issues, we typically don't stay in campers or tents, certainly never tents anymore. So I don't get to go real back country anymore like I used to. So my chances of seeing a Bigfoot are pretty much dwindling, but that's all right. I'll be all right without it. Oops, wrong one. Why do Bigfoot throw rocks or stuff? Probably because it's one of the few ways that they can get our attention without getting close to us and without necessarily giving their position by making a vocal sound. I can remember when my brother would throw things at me, even just, around our yard. I'd be like, where'd that come from? I'd get hit with something or I'd see something, but I didn't know where it came from. I don't know. That's just one possibility. Somebody out there better versed on primates could probably tell you if this is something chimpanzee or apes or gorillas do a lot. Probably. I don't know. Seems like a lot of Bigfoot behavior parallels what we know about primate behavior, as in the gorillas and things like that. So I don't know. That's a good question. I had one growl at me while fishing. I left, but the growl shook my chest really deeply. Haven't been back since to that spot. I don't blame you, Chris. I don't blame you at all. Okay. Do you think Bigfoot lives in subterranean cave systems, and the ones we see are merely the ones who go above ground to hunt? That's pretty interesting. It's very possible. I would say very possible. I don't see why they couldn't live in caves. I mean, our ancestors did. It was a very sturdy type of shelter. That's a good possibility. I really don't know, Josh. That's a good question. I'd say it's definitely in the realm of possibility. That's my opinion. Let's see. I have a clan living on my farm. I emailed you my story yesterday. I think I did see that. And that was the other thing I was going to say about people ask me why I haven't read their email, why I haven't responded to them if they've asked a bunch of questions. I've said it before, I can get 100 emails in a day. That's not saying I get 100 stories. I might get one encounter out of that. And the rest there might be 10 or 12 questions. Some I can answer, some I can't. And then the rest can be all spam or just crazy gibberish. So I have to wade through all of that to get to everybody's stuff. But CL, I'm pretty sure I do recall seeing your email yesterday. Okay, let's see what else I can find here. Here's a good one from Andy. Nance, do you get any stories from the UK? All the best from Cornwall. I think I've gotten one or two, more up towards, I want to say the Moor area, Moors, Yorkshire, I think. I haven't gotten anything from Cornwall or down that way by Wales or the main portion of Lower England. I think I got one a long time ago. There's a system of parks in Scotland. Gosh, the name escapes me. I should know because I was supposed to be in Scotland 2 years ago. I've gotten a few, and precious few. I think I've gotten one from Germany. I think that's about it. Europe is so small. I'm not saying it's impossible, but that would be like a Bigfoot to me. It would be like a Bigfoot trying to survive in New York or Los Angeles. It's very heavily populated. There's certainly green spaces. The UK in particular has done a fabulous job of preserving a lot of wonderful green space. I just don't know, is it enough? Because I'm not familiar with it. Is it enough to sustain a Bigfoot? Is there enough variety of food, water? I know that the UK's climate, I should say, is much more temperate than ours. So I don't know. I have gotten some. I'd like to get more. I've gotten some from Australia, and I love those. I love getting other things from around the world. So if I get more from UK, Andy, well, I hope. How about that? I do hope. But I have gotten a few, to answer your question. All right, let's see here. All right. Sorry, I'm looking at my pictures here, or comments. Do you believe that Bigfoot have a language they use, such as the samurai chatter? I do. I absolutely do. How evolved or how complex it is, I wouldn't venture to say. Anyone who's owned, say, certain pets, you know, they can communicate. To give you an example, anyone who's had a pet that can either bark or meow, 9 times out of 10, you know by that bark, is your dog hungry? Is he just wanting attention? Is he bored? Was he giving you an alarm? They certainly use their vocals in a way to communicate. We know that primates communicate. Whales and dolphins have a way to communicate. I can't imagine that Bigfoot. I don't know if it's a language as complex as I don't want to say as ours. That sounds pretty like I'm superior. I don't mean that, but how complex that language is, I don't know. But there's definitely some way that they communicate. I really do believe that. Let me see what else I can find here. Robin in all the comments is like, "Where's Sage? Hi, show us Sage." I don't know where Sagey is. I don't know. Maybe my husband will run her down here in a little bit and push her in the office. I don't know. She's probably sacked out somewhere. I'll try to post some more pictures. I know you love to see the pictures of Sage. She's growing so much. She's 8 years old now. She's huge. Let me see. What do you know about the red-eyed Bigfoot? I don't know anything personally. I've had a lot of conflicting information, but most of it says they are mean. Stay away from them. They are combative. They are aggressive. They are territorial. There is a difference in thought as to what the red eyes are from. Is it like a type of eye shine? Do they actually glow and phosphoresce? I don't know. But supposedly if you see a red one, hightail it and get out of there. Let's see. Would you consider creating a channel for cat videos? And actually, I thought I had a question similar to that. Somebody had asked me, this is in tangent to yours. Somebody said, you've mentioned before starting some other channels. Why haven't you? And what are they? So it's funny you should ask about a cat video because we have a couple acres here and we have some wooded areas and stuff out back. And these cats, all of them, I have cat towers in a lot of the windows. So that's where they hang all day and they just look out. We have a lot of deer. We have raccoon, possum. We've had everything coming and going, everything but wolves. I've had coyotes out here. And we do feed birds, mostly for the cat's enjoyment. And I thought about starting a cat video channel because you know what? Those actually make a lot of people really happy. For some of the other videos that I've thought about doing, other channels, I've thought about doing some other like historical mysteries because some of my other interests are definitely unsolved mysteries, the unknown things, ancient mysteries. I hate to say it, but I am a true crime consumer. I hate to use that word, but and it's not that I like the gory details. What really fascinates me is what is going on in the perpetrator's mind. It's the criminal element of the mind. What are they thinking? What drives them to it? What makes them tick? What started this? So I've thought about a lot of things, and I have, just to let you know, I have thought about a cat video. So I assume you mean a video that cats watch, because I know those are really, really popular. And they're really awesome because I use them for my cats when I'm busy. They have their own kitty TV. It's a pretty large, I think it's a 19 or 23-inch monitor. I forget what it is, that my husband set up in the floor. We used to have a Raspberry Pi, but we had too much trouble with it. I've got a little tiny like notebook that's like 8 years old now. And I just run YouTube on it and I'll put on cat videos and it just plays on the monitor. And it's like drive-in for kitties. They hang out for 8 or 10 hours. So they're happy with it. So, yes, I have thought about it. I just don't know. There's a lot of competition with that. Let's see. What is this? Mountain Lake Files. Not a question, really, but I would like to thank you so much for all your help, support, and mentorship you gave my hubby at Bigfoot Lake. Appreciate you, and we love you. Well, what can I say? Like I said, I just try to be friendly. I remember what it was when I was trying to start my channel. I've said it before. Came at Dixie Cryptid, gave me 5 minutes of spotlight on his channel. Let me read a story. And it was like, boom, the heavens opened. Everything changed. Pardon me. So I like to be friendly, and I don't understand why channels don't help each other more. It doesn't cost us a single thing, does it? So if I've helped you guys in any way, that makes me happy. Okay, let me see what I can find here. Okay, here's one. Do you think there are different species of Bigfoot? Pardon me. I do. I think it stands to reason. I don't know that species is the right terminology, because I think about humans and our closest cousins on the, not just the evolutionary tree, but the animal kingdom, mammalias, whatever you want. I'm sorry, I'm not as versed on that as I should be. I just think there's a lot of differences with us. I think that they have probably evolved, and it's just like any animals, if they've stayed in one area for a couple thousands of years, they become, I don't know, like the Galapagos. It's very tight. It's an ecological system. And I think that they've developed their own traits, colors, DNA. I don't know. So to answer you, I do think that they have evolved. We'll go ahead and use species. I think that's a good word. Okay. Bear with me. Oh my gosh. Hello from Alexandria, Louisiana. I have to highlight that because if y'all didn't know, and I'm using y'all, my husband was in the Air Force and we were stationed down there with the A-10s way back in the 80s at England Air Force Base. So we're going way back in time. That base doesn't even exist anymore. So yes, I know Rapides Parish. Hello. And next time you go by the Atchafalaya, say hello to me, would you? Okay. Let's see. What region has the most sightings? I think hands down that has got to be that has got to be the Pacific Northwest. Sorry, my husband just brought Sage down and she just went running down the hallway. We were trying to get Sage in here. So sorry for being distracted. But no, I think that in general, the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest, everything from Northern California on up, that's what I'm aware of. For all I know, Canada may actually have more sightings. I don't know. I'm not certain if there is I know the BFRO does collect those from Canada. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to look at. Might be Canada because, Canada is incredible when it comes to their natural resources and what they could offer. Yeah, they could certainly keep a lot of a big population. How many species of Bigfoots do you think exist? I don't know. 4 to 6, maybe. If you just look at what people talk about the different ones here in the US, they say that there's the black ones, the brown ones, the red ones. So I don't know, 4 to 6. I don't know. I don't think anybody can say for certain. Not yet. I just mentioned Alberta. Hi from the Rockies of Alberta, hot Bigfoot country, Canada. Brenda, one of my favorite encounters that's ever been sent in to me is called, if you go looking for it, it was April of last year, I think, March or April. And it's from Alberta. And it was this man's great grandfather. And the title of the video is called "Once Sasquatch Gets Your Scent, He Will Follow You to the Ends of the Earth." And it happened there in Alberta. So I just wanted to say hello to you. Thank you for saying hello, and thanks for listening. I see hi from Central Missouri. Hello. Cindy's asking, what Bigfoot conventions are you going to in 2023? Thanks for all of your work. Right now, the only one that I have on the schedule is Gatlinburg, the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference. And that's July 24th or 25th, something like that. It's in July. And that's the only one I'm going to. And I really don't even know if I'm going to go again next year. And it's not because of that convention. There's just, again, there are so many logistics in taking everything. It's a huge expense. I mean, we don't make any money at conventions. Cam and I have talked about it. We go in the hole. By the time we pay for the gas to go down, you pay for the booth, you pay for the room, which in Gatlinburg is outrageous. And you have to be there a day or two in advance usually. And, you got to do all the unpacking and everything. And then you got your meals on top of it. And if you have anyone come and help you, and there's just, we don't sell as much merchandise. We don't, we're not retailers, so we don't make a lot of money, but that's not why I go. We both started going, me and Cam, just get out, meet people. I don't know if Cam's making it this year. I don't think he is. I think he had some other commitments. So yeah, so far that's the only one. I know there's a couple good ones. I think there's a really good one in Hocking Hills. I want to say it's like a week or two after Gatlinburg. If I knew I could make it, I'd probably go to that one. But so far, it's just Gatlinburg this year. CL is asking, what experiences have I had? CL, I did answer this probably before you got in here. The answer is I've not had any. I've not even so much as heard as anything that's suspicious. So that doesn't stop me from believing. That doesn't stop me from searching, so to speak. I'm always waiting for more proof to come in. Let's see. Southeastern part of Ohio reminds me of West Virginia. Yeah, it does. And it pretty much goes right into West Virginia and Pennsylvania. So yeah, it's very mountainous, very remote. Let's see. Big hello and a lot of love from the UK. Right back to you, Carla. Thank you for listening. I still have yet to get to the UK, but it is on my list, UK and Scotland. Like I said, I was supposed to be there in the summer of 2020, but then this little thing called a pandemic happened, and I pretty much lost most of my money on that one, but that's neither here nor there. But who knows? Maybe someday I'll make it to something in the UK and we can all meet up. That would be fun. Let's see. Okay, here's a question. Do you feel that Bigfoot is part human, a subspecies of human, or whatever? Heard that there were some that mated with tribal women, or stories from Russia had human-like offspring. Thoughts? I do know the stories you're talking about. Zine, was her name Zina? I can't think. The Russian who was supposed to be, they thought like a wild Bigfoot female that was mated with some humans there. And I keep thinking they did they tried to get some DNA from one of her sons. I've read conflicting reports of how that actually worked out. It might be part human. As I said, I think it's some relation. I don't think it's out there. It's not like a lion or an elephant, still a mammal in the animal kingdom, but not in our family tree. I think it's definitely somewhere. I don't think we're descended from it. Honest to goodness, if I had to take a stab at it, I'd say it was some kind of a closer relative to a Neanderthal, but I don't know. So I don't know. I think that the question's going to come down to now we have more ability to find it out because science can step in. Science can do DNA. And let's hope they get some real soon. Let me see. Okay, there's a really good question. This is one I think most of us have thought about, grappled with, and discussed forever. And they say, I want to believe, but how does such a large creature get the calories it needs in the winter? That is a good question. I have a lot of thoughts on that. Part of it is, people parallel their calorie intake probably to bears, but bears hibernate typically in the winter. That's a really good question. I also don't seem to get as many reports of people seeing them in the winter. I haven't done a survey, but I wonder if we went to the BFR website, just because there's a huge cache of reports. If we logged them by months that these reports not were taken, but when they were seen, I wonder if we'd see more spring, summer, fall, less winter. I don't know. They may be able now to, they're more maybe omnivorous. Maybe they can, like deer still survive in the winter. They strip the land of all kinds of stuff. I really don't have an answer for you. Maybe the cold reduces the need for their calories. Seems counterintuitive. You'd think it would rev up their calorie intake, but I don't know. That is a good question. That's one that, like I said, I think anyone in this field has had to think about. I do not have a clear answer. I'm always listening to what others have to say and promote. If I really had to take a stab at it, I kind of feel like they do a semi-quasi type of hibernation where maybe they'll sleep or hibernate in a low state to preserve energy and calories for maybe a week. Then they go forage. Maybe that's when they grab a deer or they hit everybody's garbage cans. And then maybe they go back. And maybe they do that through the winter. Maybe that's why we don't get as many, or I don't get as many reports of them in the winter. I don't know. Just a thought. But that's a good question. Thank you. Let's see. Lynn says, I rarely hear stories about Pennsylvania Bigfoot. Do you know why? No, I don't know why, because I've gotten quite a few from Pennsylvania. I have through the years. I wish I could tell you which ones, but right off the top of my head, no. I know that Pennsylvania, especially the western part of Pennsylvania, is absolute prime Bigfoot hotspot. So I would go looking because I'm pretty sure there are plenty out there. Pardon me. Okay. Hey, Nance, if you like and have some time, you and your husband can come and meet with Clarence Bigfoot family from Anson. A lot of you may remember Anson has, him and his family have been helping a family of Bigfoot. I don't know that I'm up for that, Anson. I got to tell you, because like I said, I'm cool to keep my distance. Thanks. But send me some photographs because I'd like some. I mean that. That's true. Ohio is close to Kentucky, a veritable cryptids playground. I agree with that. I think a lot of the Midwest, before you head west, I don't even know why we're called Midwest. We're nowhere near the West, but whatever. We have a lot of lakes, rivers, streams, valleys, mountains, crops. There's a little bit of everything. It is a cryptid veritable playground. I mean, just east of us, we have the Mothman, and there's been a lot of Dogman, and Kentucky. Goodness, you can't get more ancient than some of those hills down in Kentucky. I know I have a lot of family down there. Yeah. Hi from Köln. I can never say it correctly with the O with the umlaut, but hello to you. My family's actually from Germany, Emmendingen, Germany, way down in the Black Forest. So hello there. And I have been to Cologne. Gorgeous. Love it. Let's see here. I'm seeing a lot of highs to everyone all over. Goodness. Nance, have you heard there are 3 different kinds of Bigfoot? Robin, I've heard 3, 4, 6. I don't know if anyone knows exactly, but yeah, I'm all for it. So let's see if I can get through some more of these questions. If anybody has a question, if you put your question up, please put it all in capitals so I can find it easier. You know, somebody just brought this up, and I was thinking about this when somebody asked me about subterranean caves, but my mind went woo, and it went off on another direction. Josh mentions, and I think Josh is the one who brought up the subterranean before, the mammoth caves stretch deep underground for hundreds of miles. They really could be living down there in a subterranean civilization. You got that right. And if you guys are not familiar with Mammoth Caves in Kentucky, look them up. They are incredible. I have strangely never been. I really wanted to go when I was younger. That's a whole nother story, but I was told I was too young. Yeah, they could be down there. I think somebody else asked me this. What is your preferred snackage? For me personally, one of my favorites is just red seedless grapes, the real sweet, like the Globe ones or something. And I mix it with some cubed sharp cheddar. I know it sounds silly, but I'll get like a half cup or a cup of grapes and, a couple ounces of cheddar chopped into cubes, snack on them. Perfect for me. Speaking of snackage, I need to say thank you to someone. And ironically, speaking of Mammoth, I got a box. And I'm sorry I didn't get back to you because it's a long story, but I did finally get your box from my P.O. box look at that. How do I go here? Mammoth Flavor. Okay. And it's mammothmouth.com. So I was like, what is this? I didn't order anything. So they sent me all these little goodies. They make snacks. And they are to die for. They're actually really, really good. And she said that I could share this code with anyone if you guys want to order. I think she said they had 12 different varieties. I got it pretty late, so it's only till like April 1st, but you can use the code snackage to get 15% off. And no, I don't get a kickback from that at all. She sent me stuff. It's really good. And somebody asked about snackage, and I just happen to have it here on my desk. I really like these latte drops. And yes, I've opened all of these already, as you can see, but they're really, really good. And that was mammothmouth.com. So thank you for these. That was a really, really nice thing. I get all kinds of nice things. Steve is here in Cincinnati, and he has sent me several boxes of goodies. Steve has a 3D printer. Look what he sent me. Is this not cool? He made this on his 3D printer. He sent me a bunch of other stuff too. He sent me roses at Valentine's Day. He sent me, it's up there, you can't see it, but like a black cat. He sent me another cat. He sent me all kinds of neat stuff, but he makes these. I don't think he's selling these. I don't know. Maybe I'll see if I can get these in my shop or something. But if you look, isn't that cool? And it just changes colors. I think there's another one up here. Yeah. So he does them in different colors. These are cool. So these little guys just hang out and, watch over me. I feel like I'm a kid showing you all my toys. All right. I'm sorry. Let me get back on track before I lose everybody. Okay. Give me just a second here. What am I looking at? Okay. Let's see. I feel like I'm missing all kinds of stuff in these comments because either I can make eye contact with you or I can read comments. And I have to keep looking on my other computer, which is bigger because I need new glasses. So bring maple bacon donuts. They'll show up. I've never had a maple bacon donut, but that sounds really good. I heard some elders say they walked amongst us and we used to trade with them, and the treaty was broken, so they went on their way. It could be. Okay. Have you ever seen a Bigfoot? No, I have not, and I haven't heard anything that might be one either. I'm pretty vanilla dull. What can I say? I have not. I'd like to say, but no. Did you mean Gigantopithecus, Nance? Yes, Gigantopithecus is one that could definitely be. Come here, Sage. Could definitely be what Bigfoot is now. I know they have found a lot of Gigantopithecus, I believe in China, if I remember what they said, and the jaws are just massive. I thought at one point they thought they went extinct like 30 or 50,000 years ago. Then they found one that showed that they were still here 10,000 years ago. I think that's what it was, which 10,000 years sounds like a lot, but in terms of evolutionary, that's like yesterday. That's nothing. So, yeah, I think it could definitely be that. And if they've had to adapt with maybe less food sources as the ice age, changed, and I could see where they could become what we think of as Bigfoot today. They have all the hallmarks of it. So, I'm just looking for more. Do you think that the red-eyed Bigfoot think human heads taste like chicken or turtle? I think they probably try to convince each other that we taste like chicken. But we have to ask, do you think they really bother with the chickens? I think they probably go for pigs. Let's see. I know I'm way behind, folks. I'm trying to catch up. Thank you, Bigfoot Lake. I do appreciate that. The thumbs up on a live stream is really important. A thumbs up anytime you guys hear me say, thank you for leaving a comment. I'm not kidding, because that really means something on videos. The YouTube algorithm is this mysterious force. Nobody knows exactly why it picks things, but we do know some things make it more likely to pick videos, and things like thumbs up and comments, and it all makes a big difference. I really do appreciate it, because this channel is my heart and soul anymore. I really do love it. So, and I love everybody. I love my Sasquatch. I came up with that crazy little corniness when I first started this video channel. Actually, I couldn't have done better. I really like that one, the Sasquatch. I think that's perfect. So thank you, Bigfoot Lake. Thank you for coming tonight and supporting. I always appreciate it. I don't get over to other people's channels as often as I'd like, because I do have a lot of other things going on around here that I'm doing constantly. And it's going to get even worse with spring and summer. Like I said, there was no established garden here. I'm a gardener, but I'm just not so young anymore. To break in a garden is going to take a lot out of me this year. And my husband is not any younger, and he works a full-time job and commutes almost an hour each way. So for the record, I know a lot of you may not know this. I used to work full-time. I was a business analyst. Come on. Sorry, Sage. Here's the crinkle. She thinks it's her treats. So I used to be a business analyst working full-time for a Fortune 100 company here in Cincinnati. I did that for many years, and then I worked for another one for a few years. I currently am not anymore. Contracts have ended. And so this is why I'm seriously considering some other channels as well, just to let y'all know. So point being, I'm all over tonight. Point being, I'm going to try to get to visit other channels more often because I really do enjoy going and listening to other channels. So I just don't get to very often. When I do try to leave a thumbs up and a comment because that's really big stuff. That really does help a great deal. Okay, let's see. Do you have a P.O. box? I want to send you my story, but email is something I'm just learning. I do have an email. You know what? I'll put it up on the screen and I will tell you. Well, that's not going to work, is it? P.O. Box 76, Okeana, Ohio 45053. So you can put Nance Warren, Buckeye Bigfoot, P.O. Box 76, Okeana, Ohio 45053. I just happen to have that box still there. And I have gotten a lot of handwritten stories in my time, and I do like those. I have a binder of those. Let's see what else we've got. Okay, Cece asks, why do they knock wood? That's a good question. There have been different hypotheses I've heard. It's just a way of communicating where they are to each other. It's to call them from one to another. It's to warn them to stay away. It's some form of communication. I don't think it's meant for us. We just may hear it, but I don't think it's meant for us. Let's see. That is very true. Mountain Lake Files. The Adirondack, New York, in upstate is 6.3 million acres of lakes, mountains, and forests. Not like New York City at all. That is very true. And a lot of people who are not as familiar with the United States, when they hear New York, all they think about is New York City. When you say California, all they think about is Los Angeles. Nothing can be further from the truth. I have been through the Adirondacks, and it is breathtaking. It is beautiful, and it is remote. Don't kid yourself. It is huge. It's remote. And man, is it prime squatch habitat. And I've gotten a few. I think I've gotten 2 or 3 at least from the Adirondacks. So yeah, for real. Thank you, Mountain Lakes. That makes sense because the Adirondacks is incredible. Just incredible. Do Yowies fancy playing the didgeridoo? I've heard they do. I don't know. You'd do better to probably ask someone in Australia. I don't know. So let me see. Okay, this one's interesting because I read something probably a year or 2 ago, and I cannot find it now, but it kind of relates to this. They said, you should see how many boulder burial mounds there are on Wingfield Mountain. I used to think perhaps some of my indigenous relatives built them. I don't think they're human graves anymore. Okay, for those of you not as familiar with Ohio, actually a lot of the Midwest, there was a indigenous people we call the mound builders. Some have called them the Adena mound building culture. Some called them Hopewell Indians, I think it was. But mostly it's just the Adena mound builders. We have a tremendous amount of mounds, Indian mounds here in Ohio. Probably the most world famous is just a couple counties away from me, and it's Serpent Mound. And nobody still to this day knows what Serpent Mound is about. But many of them were used for graves. There's some within a couple miles of here, as a matter of fact. I bring them up because a couple years ago, I read something that someone hypothesized that somehow these mounds in ancient times and these people were somehow connected, believe it or not, with Bigfoot. I don't remember how they made that connection. I don't know if they did. Maybe it was just something they just came up with. But ever since then, I've been reading up on mounds, the Indian we call them Indian mounds, native mounds here. Unfortunately, a great many of them, at least here in Southwest Ohio, were destroyed back around the turn of the 20th century, some way before. As soon as settlers got here, they were determined to erase any other claims on the land and make it theirs. And it's really sad. I think we lost a lot of valuable things. And then, more to our shame, in the 20s and 30s and 40s around here, especially post World War II, a lot of them were leveled to make room for housing. As a matter of fact, my husband, he grew up here in Hamilton, Ohio, and on the west side, there's a park avenue. There's a park on Park Avenue, and even as children, they all knew that was an Indian mound, and it had been halfway leveled. But yeah, children, it was turned into a play park for children. So kind of sad, really sad. I don't know what, if anything, was ever in there or what was recovered. So that's really, really sad. Have you heard of the big muddy monster? Not in those terms. I don't think I have. Send me something on it. That sounds interesting. I'll have to look that up too. There's Teresa. Okay. Now, you all remember I had all the kittens. Teresa took 2 of the kittens last year. She took another gray one who looks almost like Sage, but he's much bigger and has no white. She named him Hank. And then she took a striped one that was gray and white, a little bit of calico to him. His name is Kirby. So she said that Kirby has been chattering since he heard my voice. Oh, I need to come see the babies. Let's see. Okay, let me make heads or tails of this. Oh, wow. That's an interesting question. Why hasn't a crazy or dumb, mentally unbalanced strolled down the main street? They don't have mentally impaired Bigfoots. I suspect if they do have any mentally impaired Bigfoots, like a lot of Mother Nature, they probably are eliminated very young. As soon as anything is suspected that there's something different with them. I don't like using the term different, but as soon as they discover they're not like their parents, they will probably abandon them or actively murder them. It happens all over in the animal kingdom, sad to say. Okay, I know I'm way behind, folks. Do your cats mess with your Bigfoot stuff? Oh, yes, they do. You see, I had to leave a section open back there because Sage will jump up there, jump up, and she'll knock everything down till I make room for her. So, and she was just in here, and now she's out again. So, hello, Nance. I live in the West Midlands, England, and near Cannock Chase, a supposed hotspot for cryptid sightings. Just wondered if you'd heard of it. Love the stories, by the way. I cannot say for certain. Like I said, I know I've gotten a couple stories from the UK, but I cannot say for certain about Cannock Chase. And I may be mispronouncing that. If so, I do apologize. Let's see. Okay, I'm just scrolling through the comments, folks. Sorry. Let's see here. Why you think some of the Bigfoot have red eyes? If they have evolved differently, it may be an indication of different species. I think a lot depends on what kind of red eyes do they have? Do they have the type that are glowing? Do they phosphoresce? Is it a type of a red eye shine? I don't hear people usually refer to it as an eye shine, but I really don't know. I don't know. So until we have a specimen, there's no way we can say, I don't think, for certain. Let's see. Nance, what's your thoughts on the government keeping Bigfoot secret? Well, first, I don't think that the White House is probably aware of any of it. If anybody in the government is keeping it a secret, it's probably the park rangers, people handling a lot of that. And if they are, it's probably because they don't want to impact their parks, their numbers, their, I don't know what you'd call it, their popularity. There's a lot that rides on the funding for different parks, and if they know, and if they're keeping it a secret, and people are going missing, and people are being hurt, that's why they will never tell you, because they don't want to be culpable. They don't want to be responsible. Is it possible? It's absolutely possible. I mean, my gosh, I think it's crazy to think that any government doesn't hide a whole lot. Any government around the world is hiding a great deal from its people, and that's just an efficient way to operate. I don't think they have a choice about it. And I'm sure something like Bigfoot would be one of those things. Okay, let's see what I have out here, or what else is left. Sage. Okay, I think Sage is wanting to walk across my desk, which she often does. So we'll see what happens here. All right, I'm still looking for some. Let's see. Text Lydia. Carrie Arnold sent me your way. Well, he's a good guy. What can I say? Sure do miss him. I don't know what to say. We lost a lot when we lost Carrie. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Sage. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Do you think Dogman is a variant on Bigfoot? I don't. I don't know why. I think they're completely separate. To me, they don't share much of anything other than they have some fur or hair on them. Dogman is, to me, closer to a werewolf. I mean, not exactly, but there's something. It's not at all like Bigfoot. I think they're completely different in my opinion. Just bear with me. Pull this closer now that Sage is gone. See, this is what I go through trying to record that you guys have no idea about. She will walk back and forth, hit the microphone, knock it in the floor, all kinds of stuff. So, or they're yelling in the background. You just don't know. Okay, Josh asks, what other channels feature your specific format that you can recommend with the same standard of quality, not seemingly fake? I know, let's see. I can't vouch for every other channel. I don't know what their editing process is, if they vet them, if they allow fiction. I'm not sure. I don't want to throw anyone out there, because if I'm wrong and they do allow fiction, I mean, I've done fiction a couple times, but I tell you it's fiction. If I know it's fiction, I tell you it's fiction. Usually at Halloween. I figure one night a week when we're all dressing up, I think we can allow 1 hour of some fiction. But I tell you that 1 hour is fiction. Then I give you the 1 hour that is nonfiction. I don't know. I think Bigfoot Case Files with Lynn Smith, I think she does actual like reports. Her daughter, Shannon, oh gosh, what's it called? Bigfoot Project? I can't remember what it's called, but I follow that one too. I think hers is much the same format. So I'm not overly, so that one caught me unawares. I'll have to look at that. That was a good question, Josh. I'm really not certain. Okay, let's see what else I can find. I am an A10 fan. I had to tell you just because I happened to see that. As I said, my husband was part of the A10s, and I sure do miss the sound of those things. We were right under the flight path down there in Louisiana. We'd hear them all day, all night, and I was very privileged to go see them on the firing range. It was I don't know, 12 miles away. I forget where it was. I got to go and watch them one afternoon. It was the most incredible thing to see them firing live shells up close. Man, never forget that as long as I live. We got to go sit up in the tower. It was awesome. Okay, what do you think is their fascination with children? Why do they want to take them? To eat them? I really hope not to eat them. Every time I think about that, it just gives me the willies and I can't go there. I don't know. It's like us. I mean, we're a lot more likely to pick up a teeny tiny baby squirrel than we are to try to get a big squirrel. Just because we think they're sweet, they're cute, we want to love them. I don't know. That leads me to this rash of things in the last few years of bears keeping a child for 2 or 3 days, feeding it, keeping it warm, and then taking it near where humans are and letting it go. Could that be it? Possibly. I really do think I don't think there's any way in Hades, however you want to say it, that a bear keeps a human child and feeds it and keeps it warm for days. How do they walk? How do you do that and carry a child? How does a bear that walks on 4 paws? I don't think so. So I think it's just fascination. I think they're curious. I think, like most mammals, the younger of the species tend to have larger eyes in relation to the face. They're cuter, they're sweeter. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think they just think they're cute. Okay, hang with me here. I'm looking for the next question. I see lots of interesting conversation. Oh my gosh, maybe we need to do this more often because you guys are coming up with some good stuff. Oh my gosh. Jeremy asks, are there any Bigfoot conventions in Missouri? I don't know right off the top of my head, but I'd be willing to bet there probably is. Let me look on my other computer because I did this for someone else not too long ago. And I found them a slew of them. Yes, Sage. Well, I see Oklahoma, Honobia. Let's see. Let me get down here. I don't see any from Missouri. Sorry. Keep checking. There may be one, but I won't keep looking. I see some in Missouri. I see some in a lot of other places. I would just do a search. You're going to find all kinds, probably near you, faster and better than I could. No, I have never had an encounter, never even heard anything. And hello to you, just south of me down there in the Bluegrass State. I know that confuses people overseas. What's the Bluegrass State? What is the Minutemen State? What is the Show Me State? What is the Bluegrass State? And that is the funny thing, that almost every state has a nickname for the state. Like Ohio is the Buckeye. And if you don't know why we have the name Buckeye or what a Buckeye is, let me know. I've been asked that about 1 million times too. I reckon most of you probably do know. Okay. If you are asking questions, please put them in capital letters because I'm trying to scroll and I'm trying to see them. And my old eyes, I really, really need new glasses and I'm not seeing too well. Mrs. Nance, they do have DNA that came back unknown. It was a cross. I have heard about that. Is that the Mrs. Ketchum, Melba Ketchum? Is that who you're referring to? I have read up on that. I find that fascinating. I keep looking more and more into that. Let's see. Bigfoot will eat meat and berries. I think so. I think they will eat anything that seems edible. I think they are completely opportunistic feeders, and that's successful in terms of evolution and history. The ones who are not reliant on only one source of food are the ones who can adapt and change and survive. So that's a good thing to be. I'm still looking for some goodies. Here's a question. Why is it when people have an encounter and describe the creature, why do they never mention the feet, the very thing that made it famous? Probably because they're not as worried about the feet. They're looking at the face, at the eyes. You can see if an animal's going to come at you by looking at the feet, but you're going to know its intentions better, quicker, and faster by looking at its face and its overall body posture. If it's getting ready to lean in for an attack or if it's about to turn and flee, you'll know a lot more. I have actually had a couple where they do talk about they remember as it walked by their position or whatever that it had very hairy feet or something like that. But I think most of us aren't looking down when we have an encounter. We're looking up. We're looking at the face, the facial expressions. Are teeth bared? Is it angry? What is it? It's just a guess. I have no idea why I made faces at you all. I think you all know what it means to bare teeth. Oh, goodness. Let's see here. Okay, I'm trying to see if I've got any more questions up here. Well, I'm not really seeing any more. Let me see. I see Magalia Monsters here. Hello, hello. Hello to everybody I might have missed. The dog is in the house. Hey there, Rat Dog. How are you, darling? Got a map of sightings. Need your address to mail it to you. I really should write this out. I will tell you what it is, and I'm also going to tell you where you can always find it. If you go to my channel page, and you know how there's like you can look at videos, shorts, live stream, community, about. Go to the About tab. In the bottom of that, I have the P.O. Box. And you can write to me at P.O. Box 76, Okeana, Ohio. That's Okeana. So Okeana, Ohio, 45053. All right, hope that helps. And I've been surprised at all the cards and wonderful things everyone has sent. It's always nice to know people think that much of you. I really appreciate it. Okay. Let's see what else I can find. New to community. Has there ever been a Bigfoot sighting in New Mexico? Oh, yes, there has. In my first year, I got some really great ones. I think that was from New Mexico, the Jemez Mountains, or is that Arizona? I think it's New Mexico. But yes, New Mexico actually has had quite a few. Quite often in some of the mountain regions, some of the canyons have seen it. They've been seen down there. So absolutely, New Mexico has, I think almost every state except Hawaii has had a sighting. As improbable as that might sound. But if you look at like a map of the sightings, pardon me, I bought a map from David Politis where he had overlaid a map of the United States with where all the sightings known mostly have occurred, or where people have disappeared, I should say. And it's incredible, but they mostly almost overlay a lot of the Bigfoot territories. And there's just a thin strip in the middle of the U.S. that doesn't seem to have as many. So interesting stuff. So yes, New Mexico definitely has had plenty of sightings. Let's see. I'm looking for some other goodies. Jeffrey B. Why is it when people have an encounter, they describe everything about the creature except the feet? Oh, okay. Well, we just went over that one. Probably because they're keeping eye contact more than anything. Like I said, I'm way behind here. I'm way behind trying to catch up. Let's see. Hi, Jackie. Let's see. Hi, Nance. What made you decide you wanted to narrate Bigfoot stories and other creatures? You are amazing at it. You and Cam at DC are my favorites. What made me decide was there was an intersection of, I had a lot of extra time on my hands one year, and I'd met a lot of people at a convention who didn't mind telling their story. They just didn't want their name attached to it. So I just kind of put two and two together. I had been listening to other storytellers, not Bigfoot storytellers, but some other storytellers. And I thought, I could do that with Bigfoot. Little did I know that a lot of people were doing it before me. But I went ahead and did it anyway. I went ahead and threw my hat in the ring, not knowing if anybody was going to listen to some chick sitting in a basement with a microphone. But turns out some of you did. So here we are. Okay. Somebody asked me this earlier. It might have even been you. Have you heard of the big muddy monster from Southern Illinois? I don't think I have. If so, send me something on it, or I can look it up. But I'm not familiar with it. Let's see here. Y'all are typing faster than I can keep up, which is good. That's good. So if I've missed somebody's question, please put it, type it in again and put it in all capitals. It makes it a lot easier for me to find. Why wouldn't we've already done this one too, not tried to take a stroll down Main Street? Because I don't think they get the chance. Like I said, anywhere else in the animal kingdom, except for humans, as a rule, if an offspring is detected as being different, unusual, malformed, or anything, then they usually aren't given the chance to live. So let's see. Nance, it was awesome having you on the show. Thank you again. Well, thank you for having me. I had a good time. And in case you guys missed it, go to the Magalia Monsters page and check out. We had a live stream. I think was it in January, February? I forget which. I think it just this year. And there was me, there was Magalia Monster, there was Leslie from Cryptids Canada, and there was Neoma Finn from Neoma Finn Open to Doubt. And we had a really good talk. We had a good time. Nance, I really thought you must be a professional speaker, like radio, TV announcer. I have a lot of people that think that. Let me just say a couple quick things. No, I have never had any training to be a professional announcer, worked TV, worked radio, none of that at all. The closest is I did when I was very young due to some jaw issues and some surgeries. I took some elocution for learning to speak again, literally. At one point, my teeth had come through. I had an accident, and my tongue was almost completely ripped off at the frenulum, and they had to reattach it. It's a long story, but I had to learn to speak. And it makes you really aware of where your tongue is in relation to everything else, and how you speak, how fast do you speak, how much you enunciate or don't enunciate. And I have found a really strange thing. When I'm actually recording, I speak differently than I do in everyday life. And I've had to try to figure out why that is. And I think I have figured it out, because when I was younger, to get through the elocution classes, the speaking classes, basically, I was very particular to make that person happy. And they'd say, yep, she's all done now. She doesn't need to do this anymore. But in everyday life, I did what I wanted. So I'm glad. I guess I hope it was a happy surprise. How's that? But no, I've never done radio. I've never done audiobooks. I've never done any of that. I was just a business analyst making Excel sheets all day, making pivot tables all day to make somebody happy, and pretty little charts. That's what I did. So no. Let's see here. I see this one. Mogs Nance prefers all caps. Well, I do too, but sometimes I don't see it. Now, apparently my husband just handed me a note. He said I missed one. Kelly said, would you take a submission by phone? Now, when you say take a submission by phone, as in you just tell me and I'm typing it all out? Possibly. Only, because I have a little more time now than I ever did. But a lot of people have actually, or one person sent me actually their encounter. What am I trying to say? They actually recorded it, and I played it. Everyone loved that, because they actually got to hear that person's fear, their reaction, and you can't fake that kind of fear in your voice. He was very, very compelling. So Kelly, send me an email if you can, even if it's from your phone, and maybe we can set something up. All right. And I'm sorry if I missed that, Kelly. Like I said, I'm really, really trying to keep up with it. WKRP. No. Although I loved that as a child. I loved that show as a child. I see someone from Northeast Mississippi, Crum. I hope you all are safe. I heard over the weekend there was some really bad stuff going on there. Bad storms, bad tornadoes. Glad to see you're safe. Try a stupid criminal channel. I have a book of stories. Are you talking about me starting a channel like that? I've actually thought of some of that. The biggest thing is always coming up with unending material that is not plagiarized and is not going to be a copyright infringement. And I know you can rewrite it a million ways and it's not plagiarism. Like somebody asked me what some of my other non-Bigfoot channels are that I watch. I mentioned Mr. Ballin. One of the other is called That Chapter. I love him. I love the way he presents. And sometimes he really profiles some really stupid criminals. And, so I don't know. Possibly. Who knows? Maybe you guys should tell me what kind of a channel I should think about doing on the side. I'm really thinking about a second one. I don't know. Just thought it'd be fun. And I'm looking. I love what you did at Christmas and have a few new channels I listen to. I'm glad. And that was part of what I wanted to do. I wanted to expose all of you to a new channel because, like I said, I'm always looking for new channels. I'm always looking for new things to watch, to listen to. I listen a lot while I'm doing other stuff around the house. And I wanted to help out other channels because it isn't that they were in need, but it never hurts to get a little jolt from an influx of people watching some videos suddenly, because that makes the YouTube algorithm take notice. Hey, something's going on that channel. And then they start promoting that video. And then that helps that channel. They keep getting promoted more and more and more. So I thought it was win-win. You guys got some new channels. They got hopefully some new subscribers and at least a few views. So I'm going to try to do that again next year. I thought everyone was pretty happy with it. I only had one channel who apparently was not very happy with me doing that, and they took a little bit of offense, I guess, because I heard about it from their followers. Oh well. Anyway, my heart was in the right place. So was all of yours. Let's see, what else can we do? I am so behind on this. I'm trying to catch up, folks. Okay, there's where Kelly asked me, would you consider taking a story submission by phone? I would say probably yes. I don't want to try to do that too much. And I'll tell you why. Because my first year I did that with several people. And what I found is they weren't so much interested in giving me a story as they wanted to talk for like 3 or 4 hours. And I love that. But especially back then when I was working a full-time job, I was taking care of elderly in-laws. I had my own stuff in my own house and cooking and laundry. That was 3 or 4 hours. I really couldn't do that. And it wasn't just one person. So, but Kelly, yes, like I said, definitely email me. We'll set something up. I'm looking forward to it. I truly thought Nance was a school teacher, so articulate when she speaks. No. I'm going to give you all a little insight to Nance. I have not seen I have only a high school diploma. I have worked my way up in every job. Now, that's something you used to be able to do. You can't really do that in today's world. If somebody with a high school diploma was dropped off at some of the companies I've worked with, now they would never advance. Wouldn't happen, unfortunately. But it's funny you say teacher, because my sister is a teacher. She has her master's in education, and she teaches out here in Lakota. I have 2 really good friends who are teachers. So actually more than that, I have, let's see, there's Susan, there's Bridget, there's Nicole, there's quite a few. So I am surrounded by teachers. I think if I sound articulate, like I said, I had to do elocution classes when I was very, very young after an accident. And the biggest thing that I have found with people that I think are articulate, we all have something in common. It's not that we're so smart or anything like that. We tend to read a lot. And because you start absorbing certain things when you constantly read, you pick up the grammar, you pick up the speech patterns, sentence structure, and you have to learn how to sound words out that maybe you've never heard anyone say. So I'm going to put it down to I did a lot of reading, maybe. As I know articulation is not the same as reading or vocabulary, but to me, they kind of go hand in hand, because when I read words, I sound them out. I have to know how to say them. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Cindy, oh, you're only 20 minutes from Serpent Mound. I was there year before last for a nighttime sky watching event, and we discussed what the skies might have looked like during the time of the mound builders. It was incredible. And if you've never been in total darkness in your life, that's the place to go. Because when all the lights were out, you literally, you hear people say this, put your hand in front of your face, you can't see it. We really could not. You really, really could not. It was incredible. So Serpent Mound was wonderful. I didn't know you were that close, Cindy. And I see Magallan says there's lots of mounds here in Florida. I knew there were some, but I didn't know there were that many. I'll have to look into that. Let's see. I am so far behind, so far behind. I need to catch up on all these. I'm trying. I'm just afraid I'm gonna miss something. Now, I did answer this when I first started this live stream. What's my opinion on BFRO? I am not antagonistic towards them. I'm not going to exalt them as gods. I think if people have issues with the way they run that organization and do things, that's okay. I understand that. I'm not going to say they're, perfect. What I really want to impress upon people, however you feel about that organization, don't forget there was a time there was no internet and people went to the BFRO and it was the only place their encounter, their sighting was logged or recorded. And there's a huge repository of knowledge and information. And there are real people that gave those informationals to BFRO investigators. And again, whatever you think of the organization, that's fine. That's your business. But don't discount those people who, in honest earnestness, gave those reports, and the investigators, because those investigators are just volunteers. They're not paid. They're not paid. I've talked to more than a couple of them just by happenstance. They're not paid. They take training and they go out and they do the best they can. They're real people. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater is all I would say. I understand people have very strong feelings about the BFRO. I get it. I really, really do. But I'm not one of them. How's that? Okay. What is your favorite Bigfoot movie? There's a really, really old one. Came out in 77 or 78. It's Sasquatch. I could see the poster for the movie in my mind. It's like white and green, Sasquatch. Anyway, these men all go out on horseback for like 2 weeks, and they're supposed to be hunting the big old Sasquatch. And you never see the creature. You never see the creature. And by today's standards, this is the cheesiest movie ever. But when I was like 8 years old or whatever, I remember my mom dropped me off at the Malibu down on Pleasant Avenue. And I remember eating popcorn by the handfuls and it's falling all down. I just was like wide-eyed and couldn't stop watching it. I think it's called Sasquatch the Legend. And it's cheesy, but I love it because it's just a childhood favorite. More recent movie, I'm really not sure. I don't know that I have a more recent one that I like. So there you go. Again, I know I'm way, way far behind. I'm a half hour behind. These are 7:23 p.m. timestamps, and it's almost 8 o'clock. We've already spent almost 2 hours. Oh my God. And Patrick says BFRO is a joke in his opinion, and I totally get it. You're allowed to say that. Well, hello there, Catherine. I can't say I remember your story right off the top of my head. I know I've gotten more than a few from West Virginia, but I don't remember exactly. Okay. Trying to catch up here. All right. The government knows about them and has bodies. I like that. There's a lot of serious conversations going on here that I'm just catching the bare edges of. The White House isn't currently aware of anything. Yeah, it's true. All right. Do you think Bigfoot bury their dead? Either they bury them or they cannibalize them, or I don't know, maybe they yeet them into the sun. I don't know, because we never seem to find them, do we? Does your husband share your interest in Bigfoot? No, not really. No, he just allows me to do my own thing. We'll be married 35 years this summer, so he's used to just letting me go on and do my thing. It's the best way to be happy in this house for everyone. Okay. Let's see. Jeff asks, Miss Nance, would you shoot a Bigfoot if you felt your family was threatened by one? Absolutely. And that's what it would have to come down to. I would have to seriously have mortal fear of impending death or harm. I mean, I think any harm from a Bigfoot could probably kill me. Yeah, no, if a life is in danger, mine or someone else's, I would not hesitate. I wouldn't hesitate if it was a human and someone else's life was in danger. So I would, as they say, I would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. That's a very unique American saying for everyone else around the world. It just means we'd rather go to trial than be buried. Let's see. Okay. Still looking for some good questions. We're probably going to wrap it up soon. It's been 2 hours. I can't believe some of you are still hanging out with me. And I love it. I'm really appreciative. Sometimes I'm literally overwhelmed. Like I said, I was just a chick sitting in my basement, a little extra time on her hands. I had no idea anybody was ever going to listen to me. When I started, my husband can tell you, I said, oh, if I get 1,000 listeners in a year, I'll be surprised. I'll be thrilled. I didn't know how fast it would go. I'm still in awe, is what I'm saying. I never take it for granted. So thank you. See what else. I think we're about out of actual questions. Oh my gosh, I am just still a half hour behind here. What are your thoughts on infrasound? I don't know, honestly. I think it exists. I think we know from science that infrasound really has the potential to disrupt a lot of beings, the way they think, what they're doing. So I think it's there. Do you accept Bigfoot illustrations? Yes, I do. Just please make sure they're yours. Don't send them in. I've had a lot of people say, why didn't you send it? Why didn't you use the cartoon or something that I sent you? And a lot of people, I think, don't realize that I have to be very careful of copyright infringement. If I'm in doubt at all, I won't. A lot of people send me newspaper articles, and that's wonderful, but I really can't read them. I can try to paraphrase them, but newspapers are also protected by copyright. So I think unless they're before, I forget when copyright is, 1932, 34. I don't know. I'd have to look. But until then, they're protected the same as a book. So just make sure they're your illustrations. But I do like illustrations. People send me their photography. So would you ever come to a Bigfoot convention in Oregon? You have lots of fans here. I have fans in Oregon. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess that's not too outrageous. I have some in Australia, so in New Zealand and the UK, Ireland, and I'm always humbled by that. The biggest thing about going to the Bigfoot conventions, and I mentioned this earlier, is the product and things that I need to take, because I'm not like a professional. I don't do like conventions and shows, so I don't have like a dedicated trailer or anything. Whatever we can fit in my husband's SUV is what we take. But more than that, to go to Oregon, we would have to fly. So there would be that logistic of trying to get any product or anything out there. And I mean, because you got to have something. I've never been to a single convention where they would let you just stand there. They want you to sell something. They want you turning dollars per square foot there. Unless you're an invited guest speaker, which I've never been. But there's a lot of logistics. I would love to. Plus, my husband has to take off work. He's still working. I would love to. I've mentioned to him before, I would love to start doing a lot more conventions. I have so much fun talking to everyone. So if it ever happens, well, I'll be sure to announce it. Okay, let's see. We're going to have to wrap it up soon. I'm going to see if here's one from Beth Smith. Are Buckeyes edible? First, are you talking about the ones from the real Buckeye tree? Technically, not as they are. They are not edible. I don't think by humans. I think I read somewhere that the natives had a way, kind of like what they do with acorns. They would boil them down or mash them or something. I'm not sure. But are Buckeyes the candy edible? Yeah, bet your butts they are. And they're delicious. If you've never had a Buckeye candy, look it up. There's mostly only like 3 ingredients as a rule. It's peanut butter, it's powdered sugar, usually some melted butter or something, and some chocolate. So if you like Reese cups, you'd like a Buckeye. Look them up. Let's see here. I'm going to try to hurry to the end and get some of the last questions because I really, it's already been 2 hours and I didn't even think I'd have enough to talk about for an hour. So let's see. You're welcome, Figgy. I'm glad I got to meet you in Gatlinburg last year. Let's see. Well, I'm still looking. What would you say about a really good Bigfoot movie? Probably that it's a really good Bigfoot movie. I guess it would depend on if it's a fictional production, if it's a documentary. I love documentaries personally. I'm not so big on movies as much. I like to read, although I do watch more movies now than ever. This is another big one. And you're right. I always get asked, why have they never found Bigfoot bones? Any thoughts? Lots of thoughts. Some people think they bury them. Some people think that they literally cannibalize them and break them apart and take the marrow, and that other animals will scavenge them. I also think, because if you ask a hunter, has he ever ran across bear bones? You're going to run into some who have said, yes, I have. I have found elk bones. I have found all kinds of bones. As for Bigfoot, the difference may be that there's so fewer of them. So the likelihood might be a lot less. And that perhaps they really go far interior to die, as many animals often know instinctively they're going to die. So the chance just may not be there. It may change as we keep encroaching more and more into the forests. So, okay, let me see what else I can have. Yeah, my wife keeps trying to get me to tell all my stories. I've got them from the age of 13 all the way to the age that I am down, and I know what I'm looking at when I see him. Maybe I'll tell you one. Well, Dexter, send them to contact@buckeyebigfoot.com. Trust me, everybody here wants to hear it. So do I. Okay. Kelly, I did see you, darling. Be sure to send me an email. We'll get you set up. Let's see. Do you get annoyed by the infighting of all the different Bigfoot research groups? I'm going to think carefully about how I want to say this. Not because I'm afraid of angering anyone. It's more that I don't care. And by that, I mean, I am not in the ring of researchers. I've said this before. I have no credentials. I have no backing. I have no special training. I am not qualified to call myself a researcher. But does it annoy me? Kinda, a little bit. What it really does is it makes me just shut down. I just walk away. I walk away from whatever it is they're saying or doing until they quit fighting, and then I'll go back and I just pick and choose whatever I can in between the fighting. I got bigger things on my plate than catering to an ego. I just don't do it. So I understand everyone wants everyone to think exactly like they do when it comes to this. Everyone thinks they are the authority, the authorita. We had it all the way back with Renee DeHenden and quite a lot of the other older guys. I mean, they would really just about come to blows if you disagreed with, if you dared to disagree with them. I'm just not in that camp. To each their own. Let's see. At Buckeye Bigfoot, have you noticed an upsurge of sightings of Bigfoot in the high desert of California, like Lancaster, Palmdale, and Quartz Hill? I have not, but that doesn't mean much. I'm not the first go-to place that people go to make an actual report. So, I mean, there very well might be. I'm usually on the tail end of getting things like that. Now that Google Earth is so prevalent, why hasn't Bigfoot been spotted yet? There are some people who say they have spotted him on Google Earth. If you go look at some of those things on YouTube, you're going to find there's a couple showing, things on YouTube, things they found even with drones and stuff. So, I mean, anything is possible. And then again, if everyone's theories or conspiracies are correct, then the government is blocking them out like they do the military sites. Who knows? Good question, though. Nance, do you believe some of the Bigfoot are aliens? Me personally, no, I don't. I'm not a big believer in what they call the woo. I know that's a term that people use derogatorily. I'm not trying to say it in that way, but when it comes to portals and things like that, I allow people believe that, and I'm never going to say you're wrong. I'm just saying it's not my personal belief. I'm not a big alien fan. Could it be? Well, we're talking Bigfoot, Loch Ness monsters and stuff like that tonight. Who am I to say aliens couldn't be there? So, in the immortal words of Spock, anything is possible, just not probable. That's just me. Why do you think they walk one foot in front of the other in a perfect straight line? Honestly, Samara, I bet the best person in the world to answer that would probably be Dr. Jeff Meldrum. He could probably tell you that there's a biological reason. Maybe the way their hips are aligned. I don't know. I think it's something biological. I don't think there's any other reason for it. I don't think they would consciously decide to do that. I'm pretty sure it's something biological. Why are there so many stories with glowing eyes, not reflecting glowing eyes? I don't know. That's a good question, and I don't have an answer. There's more than I would have expected. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, I am still not catching up. And I'm trying, and we're going to have to call it quits here soon, but I'm trying to get further down so that I can get some of these answers to you. I don't know. I'm just going to go to the very, very most current bottom. If I have missed, oh, look, there you are. Hi, Ralph. Hey, I need to call you. So don't let me forget. Let me know. Text me this week. So he says, Bigfoot walk one foot in front of the other due to their hips. Okay, so I was kind of on the track. I figured it wasn't something they were deciding to do. I figured it was something biological. I'm glad you made it. I didn't see you come in. I'm so sorry. And I probably have missed all kinds of people tonight. So if I did, I'm so very, very sorry. What is this? Love? Oh, I thought it was a question. I just love your voice. It's so soothing. You're diligent elf and Sasquatch member, Lori. Hi, Lori. Thank you. All right. Is this something you guys want me to do more often? I'm surprised at how many questions. I really didn't think we would run to over 2 hours. I really didn't think that we would. But if this is something you guys would like to do maybe once a month, just let me know. Send me some comments, send me an email. Because you guys have brought up stuff I didn't even think about. So I really appreciate you all coming in tonight. Really, I do. I think I'm going to say good night. And I see once a month would be great. Is that correct? Even when I think once a month would be good. You schedule and I will come. Yes, Nance, please. Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what I'd like you all to do. Leave me a comment telling me, do you prefer Saturday, Sunday, during the week, and what times? Because I've got people all over the world. So there's no one good time for everybody. That's why I struggled to pick this time. It's 6 o'clock here when I start, but it's like 11 or midnight over in Britain and the UK or in Europe. And it could be 3 in the afternoon in California. I don't know, maybe 6 in the morning in Japan. I don't even know. So I think I need like all the clocks with the different times on my wall over there. But leave me some messages because I enjoy connecting with you. I feel like I just talk nonstop. That's pretty funny for a narrator to say, I know. But thank you, everyone. I've had a wonderful time. I hope you did too. And let me know, like I said, when you'd like to do it. I think once a month would probably be good. Otherwise, I think we'll exhaust this topic. But I agree. All right, everyone. Sunday is fine. I'll make you a screen to play to start your live. Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, thanks again. I really am going to say good night. Auf Wiedersehen.